for that. Be able to follow along with me. The total tax levy would be $11,118,000 in 2025-26. And we have estimates in the tuition revenue, miscellaneous income, extraordinary aid. These are all estimates based on current activities. We have a state aid number of $41,742,000. And the federal aid of the semi-program looks to be reduced pretty heavily. It's from what we know at this point, that program would be cut pretty substantially. Should not actually impact district operations or educational programs or things like that. We're going to learn more about that in the weeks to come. The next section talks about the grants and entitlements. We have our preschool program where we do have a little reduction. The state decided to withhold 25% of carryover dollars going into the next year, which they did statewide essentially. So we did lose a little bit of funding there, but we don't see that as an impediment or an obstacle to continuing to run the preschool program in any way. The ESEA and IDEA, which funds our title programs and other programs for special education, because we know that the federal government is going through a lot of changes, they've advised that we project a lower number on this as well for next year. So we use 70%. In the past, we've used 85% of the current year's funding. So we project that to also reduce. The student activity number is it's an estimate of the student activities that go on the building. So it's not connected to co-curriculars, extracurriculars, athletics, or music in any way. Those are strictly for like class advisors and trips, things like that. So that's what student activities will be there. The next section is the repayment of debt. We do have debt from old referendums that continues to work its way through. It's on a sliding scale down each year. It will continue until 2034-35. By then it'll be around 340,000, I believe the number was. So it continues to slide down. That is a component of the tax levy that goes to the towns, but obviously a much smaller portion than the 11 million that does come from the towns. We have capital reserve. So we have been using capital reserve. You see that $3 million number in the current year, which is set aside for the expansion at the Carlton building where we're doing 12 classrooms for preschool. A lot of that construction is about to get going. So a lot of planning's been going on and it's about to happen. So September of 26th is still the target to open 12 classrooms for preschool. But right now we are looking at another 1.8 million to pull from capital reserve and to use for the playground that we've been looking for at Carlton for the 4th and 5th graders, because there's nothing behind that building for that. So it's going to be a tandem operation where we build this expansion for preschool, and then right behind it, if all goes well, we're able to then add a good outdoor learning area for them with multiple uses and all kinds of things. So we're going to draw that from capital reserve to take care of it. And then the fund balance, which is continue to maintain and keep that responsible tax levy from year to year, so we don't have wild swings in any direction. We want to maintain healthy fund balance for that purpose. And the overall budget does look at just over 63 million with all of those items put together. So as I said, that's the estimated tax rate at this point, the $50 impact. Let me show you one other slide real quick. Okay. So I added this year. I just wanted to share with you. We're not talking about expenses tonight. We know that the expenses are always going up in salary and benefits, especially in utilities is what we hear for next year, at least 17% coming up this summer. So there are plenty of large increases in those expenses. We'll talk further about that in April. But I just wanted to give you a little picture of how this local levy has gone over the last 5 years, because anytime you talk about an increase, people are going to be interested in what is this increase all about. We want to continue the operations of the district. Of course, we have funding coming from state, local, and federal, and some other items. And so the pie has shifted over the years. If you look at this, going back to 21-22, a local levy of $11.6 million at that time was 25% of the overall budget, and the state was 65%. And now as we look to next year, you can see that almost 11.6 million local levy, which is lower than it was in 21-22, is only 18%. So the piece that the towns are contributing has gotten smaller because the state and its S2 legislation, where they were finally funding the formula and not holding everybody back by freezing it. So they executed the formula. They started paying for the students that were in the district, and they caught you up, and they caught you up this year. So this year we are funded fully by the state. But next year is another story. They do make these changes from time to time. S2 legislation expired, and last year we mentioned it's gonna look a little different going forward. So that's why we're here today talking about a 2% increase, to keep up, to make sure that the towns are able to keep up with the overall operations of the district and to maintain the programs and to grow whenever possible. But the state is now paying 70% of the overall budget. They have moved from 29 million, they're all the way up to $45 million at this point. So the entire district has grown together, and the local levy, as you see in the blue, has generally stayed the same. We've had 0 increase 3 years in a row. Before that, there was a negative. And so, as I said, while it was 11.6 5 years ago, it's 11.6 again. We just have an impact of this year going up because we're adding the 2%. We've had it reduced in the other year. So I just wanted to give you a chance to see that in a picture, and if you have any questions, I will take one. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Strauss, I have a question for you. It says the repayment of debt, budget fund balance. Are we, attributing interest on the money we owe out? On the $480,000 and the $469,000? And are we incurring interest on it?
Interest is part of that payment.
All right, so while we have a capital gains of, you see that we have capital reserves on both sides of each township, why don't we just pay it off and be done with it, where we wouldn't be paying interest on it?
That could be a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm, will you get back with me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one. You're talking about the Carlton playground. Are you gonna make in that thing, I know you're doing the preschool, but are you gonna make something new for the kids there for the fifth grade for the playground?
Yeah, that's what the 1.8 is for.
It's
So,
for them,
yes,
not
the
necessarily for
preschool,
the pre-Kiwi suffer.
the preschool
Okay.
playground goes with the project that they're doing.
Okay.
So as that is fully settled and laid out, we now have a better picture of how to lay out the fourth and fifth grade right around. So we wanna make sure everybody has their own dedicated space. We know they need to be safe and separated.
I have a question, but it's more so for old business, because you talked about the energy costs.
What's you for that?
You probably know what that
I know where you're going with that.
So we'll leave that with that.
You can wait for that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any other questions about? So this part of the meeting is open to a public discussion. And, if any members of the public would like to speak or comment on the agenda items for our district and the issues and the concerns of our residents? I'm sorry. Okay. Where was I? Concerns to our residents in Pittsburgh, Corners Point. This meeting is open to you. I just set aside 3 minutes for each person. Can you sign into my right, your left? Come up to the mic. Can you move that mic back over to the middle so they can? Thank you. Any person who wishes to speak, just wait until you're recognized, please, and please, speak your name into the microphone. Any requests, or any comments, concerning any litigation, students, or personnel matters, the board asks you to see the superintendent after the meeting, since the board does not pursue the Open Public Meetings Act to discuss any of that in response. All right?
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, and community members. My name is Anthony Finkel, as you know, and I stand here tonight not only as a concerned citizen, but as a voice for the many residents of Corners Point who could not attend this meeting but share the same deep concerns about the direction of our school district. We are a community that values education, integrity, and accountability. Yet these values seem to be slipping away under the leadership of this board. Public trust in our schools and its leadership is not something to be taken lightly. It is built on transparency, communication, and the ability to address concerns with real action, not silence. Yet time and time again, this board, and specifically the president, has chosen to ignore critical questions that impact the very foundation of our district. We have asked about grade tampering on issues that speak directly to the credibility of our school system and the futures of the students who depend on it, and yet silence. We have asked why teachers are leaving in record numbers with no clear effort being made to conduct exit interviews that could provide insight into the exodus. Strong schools require strong educators, but when they leave without their voices being heard, it raises serious concern about the conditions they face. Again, silence. We have asked about the qualifications of AP teachers, especially in chemistry, where we know there has not been a certified instructor for 3 years. If students are being denied the education they were promised, what does that say about the leadership overseeing these failures, and yet more silence? We have asked about violence and bullying data, which appears inconsistent with the realities that parents and students report. A school should be a safe place for learning, not an institute that manipulates statistics to avoid scrutiny, and once again, more silence. The absence of answers is not just a failure of leadership, it is a failure of duty. This board was elected to represent the interests of students, teachers, and families, not to dismiss them. The fact that we are here again, raising the same issues that should have already been addressed, speaks volumes about the lack of action and accountability from those entrusted with the well-being of this district. We were told a committee would be formed addressing these concerns. Where is it? Where is the progress? Where is the leadership? So tonight, I ask the board president directly, is this failure an act due to an inability to lead or an unwillingness to do so? Do you not know how to wield the power of your position, or do you simply refuse to? Leadership is about responsibility. It is about facing challenges head on and addressing concerns with transparency and action. If this board refuses to lead, then perhaps it is time for different leadership that will. This community deserves answers. We deserve integrity. We deserve leadership that listens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is William Ella Smith. As you guys know, I'm class of 2017. I come before you today as a concerned member of the Pensacola community with the responsibility to speak up for those who are not able to be here. As someone who cares deeply about the future of our students, I feel it's imperative that I raise my voice and advocate for the integrity of our educational system. For months now, we have brought up serious concerns about the disconnect between the state test scores and the graduation rates. We ask time and time again, how can it be that the graduation rates remain high while our students continue to struggle with basic literacy and math skills required at the college level? This question deserves a clear answer by now, as we cannot afford to ignore the facts any longer. Our children deserve an education that prepares them for the success, not a piece of paper that says they graduated when they're not truly ready for the next step in their lives. Recently, I came across an article titled, "Angel School District Has Schemed to Inflate Student Grades for School Official Site." As I read it, I couldn't help but think about the troubling parallels between what is happening in Asbury Park schools and the challenges our own district is facing. In the article, a whistleblower revealed a long-standing scheme to mislead the public and state officials into thinking the district was performing better than it was by inflating grades and attendance records. The intent, they argue, was to create the illusion that students were being properly educated and prepared for the future, when in reality, they were not. This is a serious issue, and if this district does not address it now, it could find itself facing the same allegation. So you guys can see yourself on NJ.com. Additionally, I would like to raise another important issue. Many in the community are deeply concerned about the potential presence of ICE in our schools. I asked this board, what is the procedure if ICE were to enter our school? How are you ensuring the safety and protection of every student in your care, regardless of the background? We need clear and concrete answers to ensure that every child in your care feels safe and protected. Finally, I want to emphasize that the time to act is now. Our community is losing trust in our schools, and we cannot afford to wait any longer. It is crucial that we take responsibility and work together to restore that trust. I hope this board finally decides to make a committee to let us work together to build trust, to ensure the success and safety of all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I was really positive in the playground. If we're gonna keep this positive. So, good evening. As some of you may know, March is National Disability Awareness Month. As a mother with a child moderate on the autism spectrum, I would like to present the board with my views and experiences with public education at the Pennsgrove Primary School District. My child was diagnosed with nonverbal moderate autism at 2.5 years old. At that time, he received early intervention through the state of New Jersey. The neurologist directed me to provide as much therapy as possible in the hope that he could function as a regular child in his teen years. So provide as much therapy as possible. There's a good chance he won't even know if he has autism. After a short wait, my child began to receive 20 hours of in-home therapy through a company called Partners in Learning. It's called Applied Behavioral Analysis Therapy, and it is the only cure or treatment for autism at this time. And he also began a cafe program at Lafayette Virgin School. The early years were very challenging for my son. In the beginning of the school year, I would write essays to my child's new teacher and one-on-one in an attempt to explain the behavioral tools my child has to aid with learning and to cope with his surroundings. All of my child's District 101s were wonderful people, but did not have the behavioral therapy background to allow my child to thrive at school. And in all honesty, if any of you were to look at my child, your first judgment would be, he doesn't belong in district. And in a lot of ways, I kind of agree, but keep listening. So with hiring opportunities and the challenges of the pandemic, the district agreed to hire Partners in Learning as my child's behavioral support at school. With their support, my child has been able to thrive at public school. He has been able to earn inclusion opportunities because his behavior was being supported properly. Some of these successes are taking books out of the library, and some of his peers would just rip them apart. My son, take them out, bring them in, non-damaged. Attending field trips that his peers were unable to attend. Spending time in other self-contained classrooms with higher performing peers. Performing in the band. My son has performed in 3 band concerts and is currently in the middle school. This year, my child has entered middle school where he has a self-contained self-help skills classroom, and most of the educational goals are geared towards self-help. One of the biggest challenges I have as a mother, as a child on the spectrum, is I have worked with, sorry, I'm getting nervous because of my time. I have as a mother with a child on the spectrum is outings. I have worked behavioral therapists for many years to prepare for outings. I can recall the visit we made to TD Bank together with my behavioral therapist when my child was 8 years old. This was a stressful experience trying to get both kids into the car without my son running away and getting hit by a car. The meltdown while waiting in line to be seen by the teller while my other child tried to wander up the stairs. After that training session, the behavioral therapist advised me to avoid taking the kids out of my house together without a helper. I stay home mostly. I have ambitions, I have desires to do both fun and functional activities with my family as a whole. But the fear for me and my child's ability to manage it keeps me home. You want me to finish all the great things I want to say about the district?
And you'll have to, yeah.
So when I resign in?
That,
You
you
have
can't
to finish
resign
that
in, the board
in.
have to agree to.
Well, can't we just ask, not stepping on nobody's toes, why don't we just ask Madam President to make she so, a little bit left on it, just let her, it's a very important topic.
Yeah, I know.
It's not,
Nicole, will you sign in and finish it for me?
we'll vote right now.
I could make her sign in for me.
You should let them,
I need to.
let you keep speaking.
It's up to the board, how the board wants to handle it.
The president of the board can allow you to speak. It's in the bylaws.
Come at the end?
Yeah,
Alright.
yep, she can come at the end of the meeting. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone,
Good evening. Good, how are you?
she has the power to
Good
let
evening,
her
board. My
continue
name
to
is
talk.
Tawana Shorter. I am a teacher at Pennsgrove Middle School, and I am also the Red Devil Players High School Play Coordinator. I would like to invite all of you to our upcoming play, Chicago Teen Edition, on March 20th through the 22nd, with a start time at 7:00 p.m. In addition to that, we have our Senior Citizen Night, which is March 19th, with a start time at 6:30, and that's free to all senior citizens. The cost to purchase tickets is $9. You can purchase tickets online at rdplayers.booktix.com. Again, that's rdplayers.booktix.com, or you can purchase them at the door. Thanks, and I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Amy Ty, the association president also. I work here and live here. I just wanted to make an acknowledgement. We have members of Carneys Point Township that I'm very happy to see. Most of the time when I go to township and I speak, there's concerns about our taxes and things of that nature, and they kind of say it's because of our schools. I appreciate Mr. DeStratis saying that it's not going to be going up high, but I think it's important that we acknowledge, I see Mr. Pallor, Amita Johnson, one of our committee, what's your name? I'm sorry. Jerry. Is that mine missing anybody? I don't think so. But that's important. I think it's so important that people that are representing us, that are elected as you are, come to these things to see what's going on. Our kids are the most important thing in our district, as far as I'm concerned, in our town. They're our future. And I know that's why most of you are here, to make sure that they get the best education. And I think it's important that our township sees what we do, because it's hard. My members work very hard for what they do to make sure our students get what they need. Everybody from one spectrum to the other, make sure our kids eat, they're safe, and they do what's needed to make sure they get the best education we can provide. So I think that's one of the most important things tonight, is to see that we're all in this together and see what's happening, because that's what's important. And I wanted to say, Miss Kenny's mom, as I know her, I was his one-on-one aide at one time, and she has always been an advocate for our child, just like we've all been. We want the best for our kids, and she wants the best for her child. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, to come back.
Can I get a motion to close, please? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Am I allowed to finish my speech, or should I just
No.
leave?
At the end.
Okay.
So we're gonna move on to the approval of the minutes.
Make that motion.
And you do that. Any questions on the approval of the minutes? All right, roll call please. All in favor? Aye.
So I told you to sign it, finish it for me.
The superintendent reports, and I guess the fire drills, and administrative reports. Thank you. Any questions? All right. All in favor? Education 1 through, what is it, 14? 1 through 14. Thank you, Ms. Vicky. Thank you, Ms. Astray.
I'm sorry.
Any questions on education? All right, roll call please.
No, because now we're just gonna be.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes to everything, no number one.
number one.
Just me.
Ms. M. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. B. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Stefanski,
Abstain on 13, yes, otherwise.
you, Mr. Ty,
Yes on everything, abstain number 6 personal.
and Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Dave, I believe Joe was reading, or sorry, Mr. Ty was reading also
On
along.
13 as to Macon, Kinsella,
He's saying-
14 as to Mendoza and Ty. We're not at personnel yet.
All right. You read that, Chris?
I got you.
All right.
You use your
Thanks.
sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got you.
Yeah, we're good.
Personnel. We have, we have, I'm sorry. Policy 1 through 5. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Second.
Any questions? All right, roll call please.
Ms. Alstott,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Ms. Raising?
Yes to all except number 20.
Policy.
Policy 1 through 5, girls.
Alright, jump to go.
Give you another go on that.
Policy 1 through 5.
No problem. Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. M. Smith? Ms. B. Smith? Mr. Stefanski?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Okay.
Finance and facilities 1 through
11.
11. Thank you, Mr. Ashcraft. Any questions on finance and facilities 1 through 11? All right, roll call please.
Ms. Alstott?
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Ms. Raising?
Yes, I obtained check number 086251.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. M. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. B. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Stefanski?
Abstain on number 11, yes, otherwise.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Now we have personnel 1 through 25.
Before Mr. Dresser was saying, the two settlement agreements, are they in personnel, or do we wanna do that in personnel, or do we do business?
I would do it as addendum.
Two personnel?
Yes, or wherever.
If the board's all right with that, we'll add, and Mr. Ty, Mr. Stefanski will abstain on these two. We have number 26 and number 27. And I'll read them. So the first will be a motion to approve settlement agreement with the Pgcp regarding per docket number 2025057. Second one will be motion to approve settlement agreement with PGRSEA regarding per docket number 2024-185.
So the motion will be 1 through 27 to include the addendum.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ashcraft. Any questions? All right, roll call please.
Ms. Alstott?
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Ms. Raising?
Yes, I abstained to number 20.
Okay. Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. M. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. B. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stefanski?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes, so I'm staying on 26 and 27,
You're abstaining on number 6.
number 6.
And I'm sorry, and 26 and 27.
26 and 27.
You're 26 and 27, Mr. Stefanski's 26 and 27.
Yeah, I abstain on whatever you said, yeah.
26 and 27.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. would like to, on behalf of Dr. Cobian, congratulate Mrs. Ty and Mrs. Ortiz on their recognition of the new appointments tonight. As Mrs. Ty will be the middle school, 12 months secretaries, and Mrs. Ortiz is moving to our transportation department. So again, congratulations. All right, yep, congratulations to both. So do we have any new business? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Bailey and, Madam President, I'd like to see that, we offer, to the people that spoke and had those questions to make an appointment with Dr. Cobian and maybe Dr. Maitland can sit in too, to try to figure out how we can answer those questions.
That is on the agenda. Dr. Cobian has asked me to meet with, Ms. Smith and Ms. Finkel to set an appointment so we can have a discussion about those concerns that you have. Okay.
Is that,
Yes, I was planning to get it in the email.
Okay.
I think it was
Does he know
something
that?
with the email. To me, you
Yeah.
can get a phone number and an email.
For me?
I think we have one for Ms. Smith, so we've reached out to you.
I mean, you definitely have my email because I've emailed Chris plenty of times.
Okay, so that's fine.
But no, I'll get it all to you.
Appreciate that, thank you.
yeah, Madam President?
Yes.
I'll just, piggyback on what Norman said. Is that also, that include the committee we'd like to start? I mean, we wanted to start it up 2 months ago, nothing really came.
That's a conversation that I think Dr. Cobian is supposed to have with us, I don't think.
But it isn't a part of the,
Well, this is
committee?
the start.
Yeah.
This is the start of it that we're planning to get.
It was my understanding that this committee wasn't gonna start until you met with the community
Right.
first, and that's where it's been on hold.
Interesting.
Any other new
It's
business?
weird that Cobian's running that.
I just wanna communicate that the middle school robotics team participated in a competition last weekend, and we went against 27 other schools, and we actually came out ranked 13. Our team is definitely competing at the highest level. They also had to help other teams who actually have much greater and bigger programs. So I do appreciate the support that you have extended to the school and to the robotics program, because they're thriving, and more information will be passed on to you about what that next level looks like. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You have an award for the robotics as well, correct?
Yes, I didn't wanna take too much of your time,
No,
but
share the good news.
we are also going to be recognized for robotics a couple weeks from now, and they're going to be receiving the Trailblazer Award, which is given to a team that perseveres and a team that has really excelled in a very short period of time. Because our middle school team has been together for probably 3 years now, and we're already competing and really holding our own against other much bigger districts like Washington Township, Clearview, and others. So to see our kids really working in coding, really working in programming, really working the robots, the assembly portion of things, and we are really working with limited resources as of right now. When you guys come to the middle school, you'll see that a place is being dedicated as a robotics lab. We believe in the kids, we believe in the vision, and I, as the principal, think that we can go to very high places. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing, and continue to stay tuned, because more is coming from the middle school.
That's good to know.
I'm jealous.
Any other new business? No? Old business?
Yes, I have a good question from earlier. Yes, what's happening with that audit?
So we're currently in a handoff situation with Atlantic City Electric, because we've had a recent conversation to move to the next level, which is to bring in a contractor to, they essentially double check everything that was done in the full energy audit, because that vendor will then be the one sourcing all the items to replace. So they need to be hands-on, make sure that everything was good, so that they know what to order and bring in. So we're waiting for that next meeting about scheduling those folks to come in. But right there. I do hope that we are doing the lighting project this summer. That's what I'm pushing for. Because I want to negate this ridiculous increase in utilities as best we can. So that's really what I'm shooting for at this point on that. And solar is just a separate, it's not gonna go through that same program. We're gonna have to start something else with that. So we'll hopefully get the first step of that, rolling in the next month or so also.
As far as solar itself, do you know if it's gonna be set up in separate fields? Is it gonna be on carports, or is it gonna be on our buildings itself? Or do you
Or is that what the contractors like going to evaluate?
Yeah, the only evaluation that came from the energy audit was to give us a general sense that campuses are suitable and some are not as great as others. That's all we learned from that. We need somebody who builds them to now take that to the next step also. So we probably have some preferences we can talk about, but it won't matter until we get to the point where they really evaluate for buildings.
Okay, thank you.
They starting at the high school? Is it something that they're gonna start at the high school? or-
Solar?
Yes.
I don't know where we're starting.
Alright. Any other old business?
Yeah, I have a, first of all, I want to ask Mr. Chris, how do we stand for our security? Him having his own transportation, instead of him, it's like the third time I asked about it, and it's always seemed to get brushed under the table, and I see we were generous enough this month to give him a whole check for $28 for gas, and I think that's an insult. I mean, he's being paid, he's an armed guard, and he's an ex-state trooper, and to be treated like that, him to come in and not have his own vehicle, and from my understanding, you gave him a vehicle, an old worn out Crown Vic, that he said he was afraid to drive it. How do we stand with him getting a decent vehicle?
Those details really aren't the story for that situation.
It's not?
No.
All right, then, all right.
We do have a vehicle that was offered,
And what,
and it's not that one.
all right, so is he gonna get a vehicle?
He's chosen to not utilize the vehicles that we have in
Is
the
that,
district.
all right.
That's the way I
And
have to take it.
if I bring evidence to you to clarify, it's totally different. That's what I heard from 3 different sources, that he didn't wanna take his own vehicle out on the road, and then the vehicle that he was supplied with, he says it's not non-safe. All right, if you could look in further for that for me, I'd appreciate it.
I know the details.
Okay, then how do we come about that I'm gonna get the same information?
Personnel matter,
Personnel, with who?
if this is a personnel, I don't know if it is, if it's a
Yeah.
personnel matter,
What's that?
we can discuss.
Yeah, all right, I will discuss it, it's like the third time, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the next time I'd like to have Art in here. Just to go over, if it's close, to me, it's important.
Yeah,
We should be able to just jump in his car, go if it's something emergency. All right, my second thing is, how do we stand with the cell phones? As far as, having put away when learning, as we were supposed to, there's a second month on that, and I know Zanana's been sick and she was gonna get into it. The governor already passed the bill on it, and I just think it's very instrumental to have the young kids today not having their phones in class. They learn, we've all went through school without cell phones. They used the mom and dad thing. I gotta get a hold of mommy, daddy. We all know it's BS. But having cell phones in the class when kids are learning, it's detrimental.
Amen.
And my last thing is, 3 years ago, my first year I got on the school board.
class.
I went on a school board, and my first year, I went out of my way, I'm retired from the union, local 28 Boilermakers. And I went and I touched the international of the Boilermakers. They put me in touch with the main, Kansas City. And I spoke to the people up there, and I said, look, a lot of kids aren't cut out for college. So I went, the lady was really nice, she sent me 2 cases of books, was supposed to be, and I bent over backwards to get these books out before graduation. I was, every time I went somewhere, I was dead-ended. Now, these books are pamphlet, it has every trade, painters, ironworkers, boilermakers, electricians. You could call up, set yourself up for an apprentice program. Like it was for naught. I was told by somebody in the high school that this stack of books is sitting on a shelf, they're holding up a window. These are magazines, I'm talking about hundreds of, I just wanted to put one in each kid's folder as you go up and get your diploma. You have it, if you don't use it, that's fine, but if you can use it for trades, that's where the country needs trades. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna apply again get a whole new set of, a whole new set of Panthers for high school. I'm gonna get it before May, and I'll send them over, I'll let the district handle it, so as far as giving them out. But it's for the high school, okay, very good.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Mayor.
Anybody else? Any old business? All right, can I get a motion to close?
What's going to say, did Dr. Kobian send out an email yet about doing the tour of the buildings? I don't
No,
think I-
not yet.
That's gonna be me.
Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to close, please?
The woman that wanted to.
She can come up. We're closing now.
Second then.
Thank you. Smith? All in favor? Aye. All right.
You're welcome to come up and finish.
Yeah.
I want my best friend to calm down my anger. Alright, so after that training session, the behavioral therapist advised me to avoid taking the kids out of the house together without a helper. I stay at home mostly, my ambitions and desires to do both fun and functional activities with my family as a whole, but the fear for me and my child's ability to manage it keeps me home. So a lot of times I feel like a prisoner in my own home because it's not safe for me to leave the house with my children. And I know for a fact that I am not the only mother in this community that feels that way. With the help of Partners in Learning, ABA company, I have learned the value of structured outings. The more our special needs children experience, the more they will feel comfortable with those experiences. Outings are not field trips, they are very beneficial for our special needs students. Some of the pros of outings are building problem-solving skills, how to safely cross the street, how to navigate a store, how to shop on a budget, spend money, and how to locate a restroom or order from a menu. Outings build resilience by challenging routines and how to cope with new situations. Outings promote sensory integration and support functional skill development. Our goal is to teach the skills so he can advocate and care for himself in the most least restrictive environment. I feel very blessed to have my children attend Penns Grove Kearney's Point School District. Mr. Tyson is doing an exceptional job at supporting my child's needs and IEP goals. I know when my child comes to school, he is safe and educationally he is thriving. I am grateful for the district's support with my child's education because it has allowed my child to stay safe in the district with the community he belongs in. And that is the most important thing, is that my child is part of this community. I can be like Senator Brancroft. I could be like my girlfriend, complaining on the district page. I don't blame her, fight. But ultimately, it is best to have them here. Because when I go to the dollar store, his peers see him and they know him. But at the same time, if we're not doing everything we possibly can to support him, that time is lost. My child could go into an institution. For example, one day I was having a bad night. My son dropped a golf ball in the toilet. I was fishing the golf ball out of the toilet, and he took another golf ball and broke the window. That's my reality. I've had 5 broken windows at my house. And I'm just saying this because I know I'm not alone. I see all these special needs kids, and they're locked up in their houses. They don't have a playground. I'm so angry about that at every IEP, every 504. I'm like, what is going on with the playground? And I don't want to name drop because I'm here to protect you guys, but I was told there was a grant where that was fully paid for by someone who runs a building.
How old is your son?
My son had just entered 6th grade, but I now have a daughter, but it's not all about me. What about the generations of kids losing it? I have 3 acres at home. My kid has a trampoline. We sacrifice to make sure my child doesn't go out. What about those kids in those apartments? You know, it's like, you know, who didn't have a playground in their elementary school? If you didn't have a playground at your elementary school, raise your hand. Exactly. You know, we threw them away in other schools, but, you know, but I'm grateful. I love you.
Thank you.